April 27, 2026. Inside the fractured landscape of Al-Taybeh, a small town nestled in the rugged hills of southern Lebanon, a 65-ton Israeli Merkava tank from the 77th Battalion grinds to a sudden mechanical halt. To the crew inside, it feels like a routine, frustrating delay. To the hidden eyes watching them from the shadows, it is the perfect trap. As engineers emerge to repair the armored beast, a low buzzing sound cuts through the morning air. A single kamikaze drone strikes with pinpoint precision, leaving one soldier dead and 6 others severely wounded. The crisis deepens. Minutes later, an Israeli rescue helicopter tears through the sky, dropping into the hot zone to evacuate the casualties. But the ambush is far from over. Out of nowhere, 2 more drones streak toward the landing site. Soldiers open fire with light weapons, desperately trying to swat them out of the air. One is intercepted, but the second blasts forward, detonating just meters away from the rescue team and the idling chopper. The entire chaotic sequence is captured in razor-sharp, high-definition video, filmed from the perspective of the weapon itself. Within hours, the footage is broadcasting across the globe, sending shockwaves through the Israeli public and leaving the world's most advanced military establishment in a state of sheer embarrassment. This was not a standard drone strike. What unfolded in Al-Taybeh was the terrifying debut of a new evolution in asymmetric warfare, the fiber-optic first-person view drone. For decades, modern militaries have poured billions into dominating the electromagnetic spectrum, believing that if you control the airwaves, you control the battlefield. But this new weapon changes the rules of the game entirely by disconnecting from the airwaves altogether. As this drone flies toward its target, it unspools a microscopic, ultra-thin thread of glass fiber-optic cable behind it, stretching anywhere from 5 to 20 kilometers. This single thread changes everything. Because the control signals travel through a physical glass wire rather than through the air, the drone possesses total, absolute immunity against electronic warfare. The massive jamming systems that Israel deploys to scramble GPS signals and sever radio frequencies are rendered completely useless. There is no wireless signal to intercept, no frequency to disrupt, and no electronic signature to track. To make matters worse for air defense crews, these drones leave no radar footprint. They fly incredibly low, skimming just half a meter off the deck, weaving beneath the detection grid of traditional radar and advanced anti-air batteries. Even trying to trace the launch site is a fool's errand. Following the physical cable back to its origin simply leads to an abandoned ditch or an empty clearing where a single operator stood moments ago before vanishing into the landscape. For the operator holding the controls, the experience is unlike anything else in modern combat. Wireless drones often suffer from static, screen tears, and video degradation as they drop low or fly behind hills and concrete walls. But the fiber-optic link delivers a flawless, crystal-clear, unjammed video feed right up to the final millisecond of impact. The operator can see every rivet on a tank, peer through a specific open window, or steer around a concrete pillar to strike an enemy from behind. This devastating technology did not emerge from a state-of-the-art Western laboratory. Its bloody origins trace back to the frozen trenches of Eastern Europe. Just 2 years earlier, in March 2024, Russian forces deployed a prototype drone known as the Prince Vandal on the Ukrainian front. The war in Ukraine had already mutated into a brutal war of drones, responsible for an astonishing 70% of all battlefield casualties on both sides. Russia and Ukraine quickly became the world's leading laboratories for unmanned warfare. Yet despite their vast combat experience, neither side has been able to find a definitive countermeasure to stop a drone wired with fiber optics. Now, that unstoppable technology has migrated to the Middle East, and its economic reality is what truly terrifying global strategists. We are witnessing a profound imbalance in the cost of wages. These devices are built using components that are, quite literally, upgraded civilian toys. A single fiber-optic kamikaze drone cost anywhere between $300 to $1,200 to assemble. Yet, this $1,000 toy can permanently delete a multi-million-dollar Merkava tank and bypass defensive networks that cost billions to develop and maintain. Aside from the military-grade explosive warhead, Usually a standard RPG round strapped to the belly, the entire anatomy of the drone is built from commercially available off-the-shelf parts. The carbon fiber frame, the plastic rotors, the electric motors, and the spools of fiber-optic glass are manufactured in civilian factories across China and sold openly on the global market. They cannot be sanctioned, they cannot be banned, and their supply chain cannot be blocked. For Hezbollah, this civilian architecture provides unprecedented strategic resilience. In the past, the group relied heavily on complex, highly vulnerable supply lines running from Iran through Iraq and across Syria to smuggle large, sophisticated precision missiles. Those supply lines are constantly targeted by Israeli airstrikes, but these micro-drones do not need a transnational corridor. They can be assembled locally inside Lebanon, tucked away in temporary workshops, basement laboratories, or ordinary residential garages. Using basic three-dimensional printing technology to fabricate custom parts, Hezbollah has effectively localized a high-tech arms industry that Israel cannot easily bomb or neutralize. The strategic fallout for Israel is profound. As of May 2026, the Israeli Defense Forces possess no technological solution to counter this invisible threat. The desperation within the military establishment has grown so acute that the Ministry of Defense recently issued an open, public appeal to tech startups and inventors, begging for any outside-the-box ideas to stop the threat. On the ground, the situation has devolved into improvisation. Frustrated soldiers have resorted to launching crowdfunding campaigns on social media, asking civilian donors for money to buy heavy steel netting to weld onto their armored vehicles, a primitive, low-tech attempt to catch the drones before they hit. This single weapon threatens to completely dismantle Israel's broader geopolitical strategy for southern Lebanon. For decades, Israel's military doctrine has relied on the concept of establishing a physical buffer zone to push threats away from its northern border. But a weapon that can quietly hunt down soldiers and vehicles from 20 kilometers away makes occupying a fixed buffer zone a logistical nightmare. More than the tactical loss, it is a psychological shattering. For generations, the Israeli soldier has operated with a deeply ingrained assumption of total air supremacy. They marched forward knowing the sky belonged entirely to them. Today, that absolute confidence is gone. Soldiers on the ground are forced to constantly look over their shoulders, scanning the horizon in perpetual anxiety, listening for the faint, deadly hum of a silent predator that can strike at any moment. The glass thread has effectively leveled the playing field, turning commercial toys into the ultimate equalizer against a nuclear-armed state. If billions of dollars in electronic warfare, advanced radar, and heavy armor can be defeated by a $1,000 drone attached to a fishing line of glass, how can any modern army expect to hold ground in the future of warfare?